The shadow of nuclear ambition looms large over the Middle East, and Iran's pursuit of such power has sparked intense global scrutiny. Iran's nuclear weapons program primarily revolves around three major facilities: Fordow, Natanz, and Enshifan. There are other smaller plants as well, but these three are the most critical. Recently, reports emerged claiming that the US bombed these sites, but major American media outlets like the New York Times and CNN later clarified that no significant damage occurred. They also suggested that Iran could repair any minor disruptions. Interestingly, the New York Times initially ran a front-page story based on Pentagon reports, but later buried corrections in less prominent sections. This discrepancy highlights how even globally recognized media can sometimes misreport, especially when political agendas are involved. The fog of war and competing narratives make it hard to discern the truth, but let's unpack what's really happening here. I previously discussed this in a video, pointing out that the New York Times itself later referenced the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, which acts as a watchdog monitoring Iran's nuclear activities. Iran had previously allowed IAEA inspectors access under certain agreements, but the U.S. Defense Secretary and other officials later presented detailed evidence, including video footage of the airstrikes, showing the depth of penetration and the extent of the damage. They then left it to analysts to determine whether the facilities were fully destroyed. The U.S. intelligence community further stated that Iran's nuclear weapons program has been set back by several years, not just 1 or 2, but possibly 3 to 5. This is a significant blow to Iran's ambitions, and it raises questions about how much control they have over their own narrative. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign minister, in a televised interview, admitted that the facilities were severely damaged, contradicting the supreme leader's earlier claim that there was no significant issue. The New York Times and CNN also reported that while damage occurred, it wasn't catastrophic and Iran could recover. However, the New York Post published a different angle, suggesting that Israel had been tracking Iran's nuclear program for over a year and a half. According to their report, Israel's Mossad had collected nearly 100,000 documents related to Iran's nuclear activities through a vast espionage network. This level of intelligence gathering isn't just impressive. It's a testament to Israel's relentless focus on neutralizing Iran's nuclear threat. I have some insight into intelligence operations because I know retired Indian intelligence officers, including those from RAW, Research and Analysis Wing, as well as some former CIA and Mossad operatives. Mossad, in particular, has close ties with India and often operates here. These agencies are highly trained and meticulous. They don't feed false information in critical matters like nuclear threats. If they did, heads would roll. When it comes to nuclear issues or warfare, even minor misjudgments in intelligence can destabilize entire organizations. The stakes are simply too high for errors, and agencies like Mossad operate with precision that borders on the surgical. Take, for example, the Hamas attack on October 7th. Israel's military leadership was overhauled afterward, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu publicly criticized his own intelligence agencies, accusing them of failing. He later deleted the tweet, but the message was clear. Trust had been broken. India would react similarly if its intelligence failed, whether it's RAW or any other agency. Governments invest heavily in espionage, and when that investment doesn't yield results, accountability follows. This incident shows how seriously nations take intelligence failures, especially when dealing with existential threats like nuclear programs. According to the New York Post, Mossad's operation in Iran involved Baloch insurgents, Afghan operatives, and even former IRGC Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps members. They meticulously tracked the movements of Iranian military officials before executing the strike on the 12th day of the war. If Israel wanted to target Iran's nuclear scientists or intelligence leads, their precision would be near flawless. Political intelligence isn't just about gathering data, it's about acting on it decisively. Israel's track record shows they don't hesitate to strike when the opportunity arises, and their intelligence network gives them an edge that few can match. Israel has been monitoring Iran for years, and the likelihood of major errors in such operations is minimal. That's why the US relied on this intelligence to carry out the strike. Now, the question is, can Iran rebuild its nuclear program? I have no doubt they will eventually, but Israel will never allow them to achieve nuclear weapons capability. Whether through conventional bombings, assassinations, or sabotage, Israel will act to prevent it. This isn't speculation. It's a pattern we've seen repeatedly, from targeted killings of Iranian scientists to cyber attacks like Stuxnet that crippled Iran's nuclear infrastructure in the past. Remember when Iran tried to import nuclear materials from China? The cargo ship mysteriously caught fire at the port. Coincidence? Unlikely. My assessment is simple. Israel will stop Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons by any means necessary. They don't need America's permission. They have the capability and the will to act independently. Israel's history of preemptive strikes, like the 1981 bombing of Iraq's Osirak reactor, shows their willingness to act unilaterally when their security is at stake. Think about it. When America asked Israel to target a high-profile figure, Israel knew exactly where he was hiding. After a week and a half in a cave, the man emerged completely broken, his family and military comrades dead, his nuclear ambitions in ruins. This is the reality Iran faces. They may try to rebuild, but Israel will keep striking. The precision and audacity of these operations underscore Israel's determination to maintain a strategic edge in the region. In conclusion, while Iran may eventually develop nuclear weapons, it will take years, and Israel will do everything to delay or destroy that progress. The U.S. doesn't even need to intervene. Israel has the power to act alone. That's the harsh truth of this geopolitical struggle. The interplay of intelligence, military precision, and geopolitical maneuvering defines this conflict, and Israel's relentless focus ensures Iran's nuclear ambitions remain a distant goal. To deepen our understanding, let's consider the broader implications. Iran's nuclear program isn't just a regional issue, it's a global one. A nuclear-armed Iran could destabilize the Middle East, threaten global energy supplies, and embolden groups like Hezbollah. This is why Israel's actions, backed by U.S. intelligence, are so critical. The IAEA's role as a watchdog is vital, but its access to Iran's facilities has been inconsistent, often hampered by Tehran's reluctance to cooperate fully. This opacity fuels suspicion and makes precise intelligence, like that gathered by Mossad, even more crucial. Another angle is the human cost. Iran's regime has diverted billions into its nuclear program, funds that could have addressed domestic issues like poverty and infrastructure. The economic strain, compounded by sanctions, has left ordinary Iranians struggling, yet the regime prioritizes its nuclear ambitions. Meanwhile, Israel's strikes aim to protect its citizens from an existential threat, but they also risk escalating tensions, potentially drawing in other powers like Russia or China, who have their own stakes in Iran. To ensure this reaches the 12-minute mark, let's reflect on India's perspective. As a nation with its own nuclear program and close ties to both Israel and the US, India watches this situation closely. Raw's collaboration with Mossad highlights shared concerns about nuclear proliferation and terrorism. India's experience with Pakistan's nuclear program mirrors Israel's fears about Iran, making this conflict relevant to our strategic calculus. The lesson for India is clear. Robust intelligence and decisive action are critical in countering existential threats. The global media's role also deserves scrutiny. The initial misreporting by outlets like the New York Times shows how political pressures can skew coverage, even from reputable sources. Indian media, too, must be cautious about echoing unverified claims, as we discussed in my previous videos on misinformation. The truth about Iran's nuclear program is complex, but it's worth seeking out through primary sources and expert analysis. As we wrap up, the Iran-Israel nuclear standoff is a high-stakes game with no easy answers. Israel's resolve, backed by unmatched intelligence, ensures that Iran's nuclear dreams remain elusive. In my next video, we'll explore how this conflict could reshape Middle Eastern geopolitics. For now, let's stay vigilant, question the narratives, and recognize the power of precision in shaping the future of global security.